Imagine New York City's skyscrapers becoming islands or your favorite beach town disappearing. This isn't a sci-fi movie, it's a very real future scenario if the Antarctic ice sheet collapses. How would this cataclysmic event reshape our coastlines and impact global climate patterns within our lifetime? At the very bottom of our world lies a continent of ice. It is a vast white wilderness, Antarctica. For millennia, it has been a silent giant sleeping under the polar sun. This immense ice sheet holds nearly 90% of the world's ice. A frozen reservoir of fresh water so large it is difficult to truly comprehend. Its stability has been a cornerstone of Earth's climate. The world we have built, our cities, our farms, our homes, grew while this giant slept. We took its quiet presence for granted, but the giant is stirring. Our planet is warming. Antarctica is beginning to feel the heat. The silence is being broken by the crack and groan of fracturing ice. These changes will not stay here. They will ripple outwards across every ocean to touch every coastline on Earth. To understand what is happening in Antarctica, we must look beneath the ice. The great ice sheets do not simply sit on solid rock. They are dynamic systems, vast frozen rivers flowing slowly towards the sea. Many of Antarctica's largest glaciers are grounded on bedrock that lies below sea level. This makes them particularly vulnerable. The problem begins with the ocean. Our seas have absorbed over 90% of the extra heat from greenhouse gases. This warmer ocean water is now lapping at Antarctica's foundations. It is eating away at ice shelves from below, thinning and weakening them. As ice shelves weaken and break apart, the cork is removed. The glaciers behind begin to flow faster toward the ocean. Scientists call this marine ice sheet instability. The bedrock beneath much of West Antarctica has a retrograde slope. It gets deeper inland. This can trigger a runaway feedback loop, where melting and retreat lead to even faster melting and retreat. It is a tipping point beyond which collapse could be irreversible for centuries. This is not distant or theoretical. We are observing these changes now. Satellites let us measure ice flow speed and ice shelf thinning with incredible precision. The data shows a clear, worrying trend. The great unraveling has begun. The warmth we've added to the oceans is now dismantling the world's largest store of ice, piece by piece. The signs of Antarctica's fever are undeniable. Scientists working on the continent are witnessing changes that were once thought to be decades or even centuries away. In March 2022, the Conger ice shelf, a slab of ice roughly the size of Rome, collapsed completely. It was an event that shocked the scientific community. On the surface of the glaciers, vast lakes of meltwater are now appearing during the summer months. This water can pour down into crevasses, deep fractures in the ice. When it reaches the base of the glacier, it can act as a lubricant, helping the ice to slide more quickly towards the sea. We are also seeing record-breaking temperatures. In 2020, a research station on the Antarctic Peninsula recorded a temperature of 18.3 degrees Celsius or 64.9 degrees Fahrenheit, the warmest temperature ever documented on the continent. More recently, in early 2022, Concordia recorded a temperature that was a staggering 40 degrees Celsius or 72 degrees Fahrenheit above the seasonal average. The data from our satellites paints an even starker picture. Between the early 1990s and today, the rate of ice loss from Antarctica has tripled. The continent is now losing, on average, around 150 billion tons of ice every year. To put it in perspective, that is enough ice to cover the entire state of Texas in a layer of water nearly 2 feet deep every single year. This is not a prediction. This is a measurement. It is happening now, and the rate of loss is accelerating. Deep in West Antarctica lies a single glacier, the focus of intense scientific scrutiny. It is called the Thwaites Glacier. It is immense, roughly the size of Great Britain, roughly the size of the state of Florida. It is flowing faster. It is melting more. It is retreating more rapidly than any other glacier on the continent. Scientists have given it a chilling nickname, the Doomsday Glacier. Thwaites is vulnerable because of the shape of the land beneath it. Like many West Antarctic glaciers, it rests on bedrock that slopes downwards, far below sea level. Warm, dense, salty ocean water intrudes deep beneath the glacier's floating ice shelf, melting it from below. The grounding line, the point where the glacier lifts off the bedrock and begins to float, is retreating rapidly across this unstable terrain. The glacier is being eaten away at its very foundations. Scientists from the International Thwaites Glacier Collaboration say the eastern ice shelf, a crucial brace, is weakening. They have observed large, rapidly growing fractures across its surface. Satellite images show cracks that could shatter the shelf like a car windscreen within the next decade. If that happens, the main glacier's flow could accelerate dramatically, a bit like a dam bursting. That would start a possibly irreversible collapse, committing the world to major sea level rise. Complete collapse of Thwaites alone would raise global sea levels by over half a meter, about 2 feet. But the danger does not end there. Thwaites acts as a plug for the West Antarctic ice sheet. Its collapse could destabilize neighboring glaciers, including the vast Pine Island Glacier, leading to a much wider cascading collapse. That would unlock several meters of sea level rise. Thwaites is not just a piece of ice. It is a ticking time bomb, and the clock is speeding up. The melting of Antarctica is not an abstract environmental issue. It's actually a direct threat to people, homes, economies across the globe. When ice on land melts and flows into the ocean, the sea level rises. It's really just a simple matter of physics. For every centimeter the sea rises, millions of people are put at even greater risk. Low-lying coastal cities are on the front lines: Miami, Mumbai, Shanghai, Lagos. These aren't just dots on a map. They are vibrant centers of culture and commerce, home to a significant portion of the world's population. Their very existence is now threatened. But, the impacts aren't just about permanent inundation. Rising seas make coastal communities far more vulnerable to storm surges and high tides. A storm that would have been manageable just a few decades ago can now cause devastating flooding. Saltwater intrudes into freshwater aquifers, contaminating drinking water supplies and ruining agricultural land. Critical infrastructure such as ports, power plants, transportation networks is often located in low-lying areas, placing it directly in harm's way. The economic costs are staggering, running into the trillions of dollars. But honestly, the human cost is immeasurable. Think of the small island nations of the Pacific like Tuvalu, Kiribati, the Marshall Islands. For them, sea level rise isn't a future problem. It's an existential crisis happening right now. Their land is being eroded, their homes are being flooded during high tides, and their fresh water is becoming salty. These nations, which have contributed the least to the climate crisis, are facing the complete loss of their homelands, loss of their culture, and loss of their sovereignty. Their people are becoming the world's first climate refugees, forced to contemplate a future where their countries no longer exist. This really is a crisis of inequality. It's the most vulnerable populations, often in developing countries, who will suffer the most, even though wealthy nations are responsible for the vast majority of historical emissions. But in the end, no one will be immune. Even the world's most powerful cities are at risk: New York, London, Tokyo. The question is no longer if our coastlines will be transformed, but by how much and how quickly. The ice of Antarctica holds the answer, and its accelerating melt is a clear and present danger to us all. The future that scientists are predicting is already beginning to arrive. All around the world, the echoes of Antarctica's melt are being heard. In the United States, the city of Miami, Florida is a prime example. Built on porous limestone, the city now experiences what they call sunny day flooding, where seawater pushes up through the drains and floods the streets, even in calm weather. The city is spending hundreds of millions of dollars raising roads and installing massive pumps. But these are really just temporary fixes for a relentless problem. The sea is slowly, but surely, reclaiming the land. In Bangladesh, a low-lying nation threaded with rivers, millions of people live on a delta that is just a few meters above sea level. Here, Rising seas are combined with land subsidence and stronger cyclones. Salt water is creeping further and further inland, poisoning the rice paddies that families have farmed for generations. Farmers are forced to abandon their land and move to overcrowded city slums in search of work. One farmer, reflecting on his lost fields, said, "The sea was our friend. It gave us fish. Now it is our enemy. It has taken everything." Further west, the historic city of Venice in Italy has battled with the sea for centuries. But the fight is becoming harder. The acqua alta, or high water events, are becoming more frequent and more severe. The city's famous squares and ancient basilicas are regularly submerged. A multi-billion-euro flood barrier system called MOSE has been built to protect the lagoon, but it is a monumental effort against a rising tide that shows no sign of stopping. These are not isolated incidents. They are snapshots from a global crisis. In the Mekong Delta of Vietnam, the Rice Bowl of Southeast Asia, saltwater intrusion threatens the food security of millions. On the coasts of West Africa, entire villages are being lost to coastal erosion, their histories washed away by the waves. In Jakarta, Indonesia, the problem is so severe that the government is planning to move the nation's capital to a new location. These stories are the human face of climate data. They are the lived reality of what begins with a drop of meltwater, thousands of miles away, on the frozen plains of Antarctica. In the face of such a colossal challenge, it is easy to feel overwhelmed, to believe that the future is already written, but that is not the case. The science that warns us of the danger also offers us a glimmer of hope. The fate of Antarctica and our coastlines is not yet sealed. The worst-case scenarios, such as the rapid collapse of the West Antarctic ice sheet, are not inevitable. They are dependent on the choices we make today. The amount of warming we cause this century will directly influence how much ice we lose. Recent scientific modeling has shown that if we can act swiftly and decisively to reduce greenhouse gas emissions, we can avert the most catastrophic outcomes. If we succeed in limiting global warming to 1.5 degrees Celsius, as set out in the Paris Agreement, we could significantly slow the rate of melt. This would not stop sea level rise entirely, but it could prevent the activation of those dangerous tipping points, like the runaway collapse of the Thwaites Glacier. It would buy us precious time, decades, even centuries, to adapt to the changes that are already locked in. This is a critical distinction. Some level of sea level rise is now unavoidable due to the warming we have already caused, but there is a world of difference between a manageable, slow increase and a rapid, chaotic collapse. We are not yet committed to a runaway ice sheet loss, says Dr. Tamsin Edwards, a climate scientist specializing in ice sheet models. The ice sheet has a long memory. It responds slowly, but it does respond. Our emissions today determine the world our grandchildren will inherit. This knowledge is not a cause for despair, but a call to action. It empowers us. It tells us that our efforts matter. Every fraction of a degree of warming we can prevent makes a difference. It translates into centimeters of sea level rise avoided, into coastal communities protected, and into ecosystems preserved. The challenge is immense, but the window of opportunity to influence the long-term future of Antarctica's ice is still open. Hope is not found in ignoring the problem, but in understanding the power we have to change its course. Slowing the Antarctic meltdown requires a global effort on a scale we have never seen before. The primary task is clear. We must dramatically and rapidly reduce our emissions of greenhouse gases, transitioning our global economy away from fossil fuels, coal, oil, gas, and towards clean, renewable sources of energy like solar power, wind power. Governments must lead the way, setting ambitious national targets and creating policies that accelerate this transition. But this responsibility does not rest with governments alone. Corporations have a vital role to play. They must transform their business models, invest in clean technology, and transparently report their climate impact. As consumers and citizens, we too have power. Our choices about what we buy, how we travel, how we use energy can collectively drive change. beyond reducing emissions, we must also prepare for the changes already underway. This means investing in adaptation. For some coastal communities, this may involve building seawalls, improving flood defenses. For others, it will mean restoring natural habitats like mangrove forests, coral reefs. This is a moment for global solidarity, for recognizing that the melting of a distant continent affects us all. We must support developing nations in their transition to clean energy and their efforts to adapt to climate impacts. We must invest in the science that helps us understand these complex systems so we can better predict what is to come. The path forward is challenging, but it is clear. It is a path of innovation, collaboration, and shared responsibility. We stand at a unique moment in the history of our planet. We are the first generation to fully understand the consequences of our actions on the global climate, and we may be the last with a real chance to prevent the worst outcomes. The story of Antarctica's melting ice is a profound and urgent warning. It is the Earth's way of telling us that the systems we depend on for our survival are fragile and that we are pushing them to their limits. We cannot say we did not know. This is not a story about saving the planet. The Earth will endure, as it always has. It will find a new balance, with different coastlines and a different climate. This is a story about saving ourselves and the magnificent diversity of life with which we share this world. It is about preserving a stable climate in which human civilization can continue to thrive. It is about ensuring that future generations can experience the wonder and beauty of the natural world, from the coral reefs to the polar ice caps. The challenge before us is great, but our capacity for ingenuity, cooperation, and compassion is greater still. We have faced immense challenges in the past and have overcome them by working together. Now we must do so again. We must make a promise to our planet and to each other. A promise to act not out of fear, but out of a sense of love and responsibility for this remarkable world, our only home. A promise to listen to the science and to make the wise choices that will protect our shared future. Let us be the generation that turned the tide. Let us be the ones who chose a future powered by the sun and the wind, not by the fuels that warm our world. Let us be the ones who protected the great ice sheets and the coastal communities that depend on their stability. The silent giant of Antarctica is sending us a message. It is time for us to answer. Let us act now, with courage and with hope, to secure a safe and sustainable world for all the generations to come. Our future and the future of our planet depends on it.